Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can use Jetpack Paging version 3 library. Also, I'm going to use Retrofit and Glide as well. So let's begin with adding the dependencies as we do it at the very beginning. So first of all, I'm adding the Retrofit dependency. We are going to use Retrofit 2. As we know, with the Retrofit, we need a JSON converter. So we'll add that dependency. Also, I'm going to use glide library, so I'm adding glide now. Along with that, we are going to use the Mvvm, so I'm adding the view model dependencies. I'm adding view model KTX as well, which is going to use for the paging. And this is the last dependency which we are going to use for the paging. This is the beta version currently, so we are going to use the beta version as this is our main activity. So first of all, we need to create a network package, or there we'll create some classes like the retro instance. And this retro instance is going to return us the instance of retrofit libraries, which is going to be inside the companion object block. And this get retro instance function will return the instance of retrofit. Before we implement this function, we need a URL. So I'm going to use a URL which is recon, which is going to recon moti API, which basically give us some characters information. So I'm going to use that API. Here we'll add the JSON converter factory. That's it for our retro instance class. Inside this we need a interface that is going to be a retro service. And this retro service is going to hold a get method type of a function that is going to call from the view model. That is going to be the suspend function, as it is going to call from the coroutine. So this version 3 library support the coroutine as well. And we're going to pass page number as the query parameter. And this is going to return a data. So let's create our data class. I'm giving it as the same name, Rick and Morty list. This is going to be the data class. And let's see how API look like. So I'm formatting it. This is the API data we are going to receive. So we'll having the info and the result. So let's create the info class first, and which is going to have these parameter: pages, next, previous, count. We'll keep the same name what is returned by the API. And I'm going to keep them as the nullable because sometime next and previous may be the null. Also, second is the result, so that is the array. And we'll use the name, and species and the image. So just three parameters we need for our recycler view. So I'm just going to pass three values. If you need more, then you can pass inside this character data class, and that will give you the access of those values. So I'm just keeping three parameters currently. And we'll pass it here list and type of character data. Results is the same name, results. Now retro service will going to return this data class. So retro service classes interface is also ready now. So let's go to main activity and work on our layout file. So we are going to use a recycler view here. So I'm simply adding a recycler view. Giving its ID. And we don't need text, and we need to keep it on the top. Now we'll create a separate function for initializing our recycler view. So I can't access recycler view directly, so we need to add Kotlin Android extension. So when we add and sync our Gradle file, at that time we should be able to access our layout views directly from the activity or the fragment. So now you see I can access recycler view directly instead of calling find view by ID. And inside the view block we are going to set the layout manager. Currently I'm going to keep it as the linear layout manager. We need a separator, so I'm adding a separator now. Now we'll set an adapter. So currently we don't have any adapter, so let's create it. We'll create a separate class for recycler view adapter. So I'm giving it as the same name, recycler view adapter. And it's not going to be the regular adapter for us, it's going to be a little different because we are going to implement paging here. So it's going to be extend paging data adapter. I'm going to have the data type as the character data, and we'll pass the view holder. Now we'll implement both the method. And we'll create our view holder class. And inside it, a bind function. Now we'll inflate our layout. Okay, we are doing inside the wrong function, so this inflate we need to do it inside the on create view holder function instead of on bind view holder. So I was doing it in the wrong function. So now we need to create our layout file for our recycler view. I'm giving it as a name recycler row. Now we'll add one image view on the left hand side and two text view on the right vertically. This image view will just download an image using the glide and display it on the recycler view. Margin start is showing me error. I'll go to Gradle or update here minimum SDK version because start and is introduced later than the 16 version of the API. Now inside this linear layout I'm going to add two text views. Our layout is ready. Now we'll go back to our adapter and pass this recycler row. Now we'll pass parent and false, and it is going to return our my view holder, and we'll pass inflator. Inside the on bind view holder function, we'll simply call bind, and bind function inside is our my view holder class. We need a character data, so we'll get it with the function get item and pass the position, and it's going to pass inside the bind function. Now we'll access our layouts, image view and the text view, which we added inside our recycler row XML file. Now we'll set the character data to our text view. Here we'll set the image using the glide. And we need to pass the diffutil, which is going to check the content of the each row. So I'm creating a separate class for this, which is going to extend diffutil dot item callback. and it is going to hold the data type as the character data. And now we'll simply override two functions. And now we'll pass this class inside the paging data adapter. That's it. So our adapter is ready now. Now go back to our main activity and create an instance of this Recyclerview adapter. We'll initialize it now and we'll set it to our Recyclerview. Now it's time to create our paging data source class. So this class is going to take as the input of the API service. That is our retro service class. And it's going to extend now our paging data, paging source. Character data. There is. And we'll simply implement its two function, get refresh key and load function. This load function is going to get called again and again when we are loading the pages next to each other. So now here we need to implement this function. And version 3 library, the best part of the version 3 library is like we can handle the error. So since there is any exception, we can pass it and we can handle that exception even. Here we are going to get the next page number. Inside the companion object, I'm going to create a default page, that is the page number 1. So if key is defined, then it will return the key like the page number, else it will start from the page 1. The API service that get data from API and it will simply pass the page number. Now we will retrieve the next page number from the API as we have inside the info data class, like it has the next page number. So we are going to use that page number which is coming from the API. So since that page number is coming as the URL, so we need to parse that URL and just extract the page number from there. If your API is returning direct page number, then you don't need to do this step. Next page number will be passed value from the API. It is showing me some error. I think we are missing something, so let me check. So first thing, URI.parse should have the string value. We found int, so we need to change it in our data class. We'll mark it as a string. And next page number is it still need to typecast to integer. That's it. So our paging data source class is also ready. Now we'll use this inside our view model. So let's create another view model. I'm giving it as a name main activity view model. We'll extend it with the view model. Inside the init block, we'll initialize our retro service. Get retro instance dot create, and we'll pass our retro service class interface name. Now we'll create a function which is actually going to call our data source paging data source class using the coroutine. So this flow is the part of coroutine. Here we'll pass the page size. We have currently 34 pages, so I'm going to use the same value. And the max size is 200. You can have some other number as well. Source factory is going to be our same class which we created as a character paging source. We'll pass it here. And we'll pass the retro service instance. And flow dot cache in view model scope. So our view model is also ready. Now go back to our activity and create an instance of our view model. Inside the lifecycle scope, this is also called from the coroutine scope. And here we'll use our adapter instance and call submit data, and we'll pass it. And now we'll call these two functions from our onCreate function. And before we run, we need to add the permission, as it is going to make the API call, so we need to add the internet permission. Now let's run our application and see how it look like. So it look absolutely fine. So it's showing me the image and two values, and it's loading, endless loading. So yeah, it looked good. So it's keep loading all the pages as I'm scrolling it to the bottom. Now we can review. So first of all, we created a retro instance class and we implemented, then we created a retro service interface and created a function, and the page number we are going to pass. We have a data class and which have the info and the list of character data, and character data have some parameters on it. Then we inside our activity we initialize our view model. We are initializing our view model and setting the data to our adapter. Then we created a paging source data source class, and we are simply parsing the next page number and we are setting it to the API. As you can see in the API, it's returning the URL, so we are parsing that URL and the page number we are extracting and then setting it to the next page. Then we came back to our view model, so we are simply calling retro service and calling the view model and the data source from our view model. In the adapter, it's not the regular adapter, so we need to extend with paging adapter, and we have to implement the diff class. And guys, that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching.